Hello. All right. Good morning, my lovely people. It's not actually morning anymore. It is now, it's 12:30. It's 12:30. It's taken me this long to get to the point of being dressed, sitting on a chair, putting a light in front of me and a camera. It's fine. These things happen. That's because I am alone this morning. It's one of those very, very rare occasions. I say alone. There are actually 3 men currently in my loft. I can't go near them for COVID reasons and also building site safety. No, instead, Rhiannon, who is my lovely new carer, my new Clara really, because I did have a girl in between to replace Clara, but that didn't quite work out. But I will introduce you to Rhiannon at some point. I just kind of want to not introduce you too quickly because I may have done that last time. You know, it's like a relationship thing, having a carer, and maybe you should take time, see if everything fits, everything works, stuff is what you want it to be, you're not in some kind of countrywide lockdown, before you then introduce your new person to the world. Lesson learned. So, hopefully in January you'll actually get to meet Rhiannon, but this morning she is unfortunately unwell. With a migraine. Don't panic, it's just a migraine. But yeah, so I've been alone this morning, so obviously slow to do anything because that's just me, slow. But I am at least wearing makeup. Look at that. I stuck some stuff on my face. It was then wrong. I had to remove it and stick some more stuff on my face. I'm not entirely sure how stuck this stuff is to my face, but that's not what I'm here to talk to you about today though. No, this is not a makeup video. I'm really excited actually about my first video of the new year, which as you know, I always love to do a first video of the year where I just kind of go look back over what's happened in the year so far and look at what's coming up in the year ahead and anything like that, really. So yes, that first video of the year, there is going to be some interesting stuff. Now you may think, goodness Jessica, this is a very long preamble to this video and not really why I clicked on it. I feel like the title told me this would be about something else, and you're quite right. I really just wanted to see whether, because this is pretty much the first time I've properly talked for a while today, whether there would be any difference in my mouth and whether you would be able to see any difference and whether I would feel any difference. I keep looking in the viewfinder like, is there a difference? Is there a difference? Because yesterday something really exciting happened. I went and got Botox in my jaw at the local hospital. So I've always thought, my face is wonky. And other people have said, no it isn't. And I thought, okay, I guess it's just because I'm blind in one eye. I'll make a video about that. I do have this funny pain in my jaw though. And my doctor was like, that's because your face is wonky. See? Who knew? See? I was right all along. So yes, as many of you know, I have a genetic hypermobility condition called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. And what this means is that it affects a lot of the soft tissue in my body, which can include, you know, the bits that hold me together, strap my bones together, including my jaw, stuff that holds my jaw on. And while you would think hypermobility, that just makes things very floppy, prone to dislocations, very prone to atrophying, that kind of thing. It can also mean the opposite happens. I know. I'm like, what? I thought I was just a floppysaurus, but apparently not. That is definitely what I'm going to describe myself as to my children, a floppysaurus. Where was I going with that? I'm floppy. So for probably the last 4 to 5 years, no, because I noticed this definitely before my wedding. Probably kind of around the time I met Claudia, I guess. So around 6.5 years ago, I started having a real trouble with my jaw, especially around my period, where it would become, so it had become really, really loose and floppy on this left side here. But what that meant was that rather than my entire jaw becoming quite loose, for some reason, the right side decided it was just gonna start overcompensating. And this is probably my fault as well because I found it so much easier to chew on the right side because the left side is so floppy that I would chew a lot on the right side, and over time somehow I started to also speak more from the right side, and the muscle just started to build and build and build and build and build up. And what that meant was that when I was eating, the style of eating gradually, no matter which side I chose to eat on, it got worse and worse. So my teeth are perfectly aligned if I consciously bring my jaw together. However, when I eat, my jaw tends to do this rather than like, oh wait, how do you eat? So it's supposed to do this when you eat. This is how you chew. And my jaw is like, ooh, 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 ooh. I don't think it makes that noise. But that means basically that it's even more prone to then slip out and dislocate whilst I'm eating, which happens a lot and is a really uncomfortable situation, not just because it's excruciatingly painful, but also because what do you then do with the food in your mouth? Think it through. Like, you just sat there, you've been eating, you've got some food in your mouth, pop, your jaw dislocates. You can't chew it to get rid of it. You might or might not be able to like open your mouth to spit it out. You have to just kind of like swallow, but in tiny bits. This is far more information than you need. The jaw issue isn't just painful when I'm eating. Often my teeth will clash together, which, oh, if you've ever heard your teeth clash together, that's a painful one. That's a real painful one. And before my period, because all of my joints get looser and floppier, I'm far more prone to this. So every time I eat, I will at least once clash my teeth together as my bottom jaw just goes crash. And I'm like, wow, how did you even do that? Why? So that happens. And that's obviously very painful, and that's quite difficult. And sometimes if I brush my teeth too much, I can dislocate my jaw and it's very uncomfortable. Or when if I sleep, I have to choose like which side to sleep on. I know, why are you sleeping on one side, Jessica? You just go to the middle. I have insomnia, okay? The easiest way for me to sleep is on my front. However, you okay, dude? No. Walter's very unsettled. Walter's very unsettled because he doesn't like me being alone in the house. And his answer to feeling unsettled is to apparently go behind the Christmas tree. I moved. Okay, we're doing better. By the way, if anyone really likes this dress, it's from Miss Candyfloss. I love it. I'm not even wearing any kind of like shapewear underneath this. It just gives you a really nice body effect. Highly recommend these dresses if you're into a small-waisted look, I must say. Yes, so the pain. Another part of it is not just the pain, although yes, I should say that that is obviously my main concern, because you always have to say that that's your main concern. You can't just say that your concern is purely cosmetic, because then you're just being girly and no one takes you seriously. People should definitely take you seriously if your concern is purely cosmetic. Cosmetic issues can have a big impact on your mental health, and really, what is more important than your mental health, honestly? And we're back. Sorry, that was a pair of trees being delivered. We got an apple tree and my Christmas present, which is a Kansan cherry blossom tree, which I'm very excited about. Someone is gonna plant those. So the thing that was causing me so much pain is called your temporomandibular joint, and it is this part right here, and it kind of acts like a hinge holding your jaw onto your skull. You obviously have one joint on each side of your jaw. And I tried to talk to my GP in the past about this joint and pain that I was feeling, especially in the right hand side, which was a very similar pain to the feelings, the right hand side being the tight side, which is really similar to the pain that I had been feeling from migraines. And I was like, oh, maybe it's causing my migraines. Maybe if we do something about this pain, then my migraines will disappear. Which, you know, as anyone who suffers with migraines will know, the goal in life, I feel, is really just to find that golden bullet that just, yes, perfect, they're gone, wonderful, amazing, done. Or to finally work out what the hell your triggers are so you actually know what to avoid. I tried this. My triggers are like being tired, being hungry, being happy, being sad, I don't know, having emotions, my period, obviously, breathing, I don't know, beyond that I'm lost. Sometimes they just come and I'm like, why? I did everything right. But about 2 years ago, I got a referral from my neurologist in London to a specialist migraine clinic, which is like the top migraine clinic in the country in London, which I was really, really excited about. And I had wanted to get referred to this place for ages, and I waited and I waited and I waited and I waited and I waited. And I had been on their list for 18 months, didn't hear anything from them. I was like, this really is that? Like, I better chase them up. And so finally chased them up, because I don't know, I guess when you're on a waiting list, you just kind of think you're still on the list. Chased them up and they said, oh, you're not moving up the waiting list because we've left a document with your GP that your GP has to sign and get back to us. And they haven't done that for a year. You have got to be kidding me. What? Badgered my GP, basically said, I will fill in the form for you. All you have to do is sign it. I will take the work away from it. It will be easy, okay? It will be easy for you. I'm not even gonna make you work hard, for God's sake. And the GP was like, oh, because there isn't even much of a form, I just have to sign it. Okay. It's like, I mean, you could have done it a year ago, but sure. Okay, let's do it now. So he signed the form and he got it back to the migraine clinic. The migraine clinic contacted me and said, because there's COVID, you obviously can't come and have a first appointment here in London, because everything in England, if you want to go to the top of anything, is in London. That's it. It's just London. All roads lead to London. Watch Plumbella for more on these issues. And then I finally get the phone consultation, and my lovely interpreter, Ruth Ann, comes over, helps me with the call, and Clara's here as well, because, you know, Clara was still here in the summer. And we have this call with the migraine clinic, and I say, I also have, and I sort of explain my symptoms, explain that I get 20 migraines a month, that I also have a scoliosis, and my neck kind of curves the wrong way. It curves, I can't remember which way it curves. It curves out when it's meant to curve in, and I have a lot of jaw pain, and I'm like, could these things be related? Could this be it? And he's like, probably not. I'm like, well, I mean, you can't even see me right now. You've literally, I'm unclear as to how this man has guessed what my scoliosis looks like, or hasn't even felt my neck, but has decided my neck is not a problem. Hasn't even seen my jaw, but sure. And he was an asshole. He was an asshole. Yeah. I know you shouldn't be called doctors assholes, but he was an asshole. I think Stevie has a video that's actually just called Doctors Are Bastards. Watch that if you want some more ranting about doctors. But basically, he just said, what prevention have you tried? I don't think you've tried enough prevention. And I was like, I've tried everything. No, so he was like, what prevention have you tried? I said, I've tried all the preventions. He said, you haven't tried enough preventions because you haven't tried enough medications. And I was like, well, I had to come to you for you to tell me which medications to try, because that's your job. And he was like, I think you're taking too many medications, so take no medications, see if your migraines improve. And I was like, how? Because I had migraines for many years without any medication, and then I started taking medication and I still have migraines, so baffling. And then he said, one thing that you should do to definitely to help your migraines is to take B2 riboflavin. And I was like, I've already taken that. How good? And he was like, no, but you're not taking enough, because if you were taking enough, your urine would be yellow. And I'm like, it's fluorescent yellow. And he's like, I doubt you're taking enough though, because you're still getting migraines. I was like, so the migraine doctor left me saying that I should try 6 months of absolutely no migraine related medication of any kind, and also live a quieter life. He said to the chronically ill, disabled girl living in lockdown. Where did he think I was going? So I did what he said for 6 weeks of no medication. It wasn't great, still got migraines, it was pretty awful to be honest. And you may have noticed my productivity did decline. So then we waited and thought we would hear back. We did not. So Claudia contacted them again and they were like, oh, we discharged her. They discharged me because apparently I had not tried enough natural preventions for migraines. And that is the drama of my migraines. So I was fully expecting the drama of my jaw to be pretty much like that. But fortunately, it wasn't. It was one of those times where the NHS just works. amazing. So Claudia, my wife, is my dentist, thankfully. And she therefore was able to refer me to MaxFax, the maxillofacial surgery department of the hospital. And they did what they call a minor surgical procedure. It's not that. They put Botox in the massive muscle of my face. It was also rather lovely because the first time I went, because you do actually have to go in person to be assessed, because they need to see you to touch your face. And the woman touched my face and was like, whoa, your face is much bigger on this side. And I was like, this is what I've been telling people. No one believes me. You probably can't even see it. But the difference of a centimetre is rather large on one's face. So what they did is they had a really quick first assessment. She was like, yeah, you know what you need? Botox. Easy. And I was like, excellent, thanks. And she was like, come back in 2 weeks. I was like, I will. And then I had a migraine 2 weeks later. So then they were like, don't worry, we'll schedule it for another 2 weeks' time. And then I had a migraine. They were like, don't worry, we'll schedule it for another 2 weeks' time. And then I did actually manage to go in. And that was yesterday. And it was delightful. It was great. Now, normally with most hospital appointments at the moment, you're only allowed to go in by yourself, unless you're a child, in which case you can have an adult, or you are someone who requires a carer or a translator. To the best of my knowledge, you're only allowed a carer or a translator. I think it's a bit wrong because then a sign language interpreter is not there to look after my disability-related needs. They're there to help my deafness and interpret things for me. But fortunately, I did have Rhiannon with me, which was nice. It is that kind of scary thing though, when you go up to the front door and you have to be like, hi, this is me, here's my letter saying I'm allowed in, this is my carer, and you just kind of have to be like, please don't question why I have or need a carer. Thank you. And they never do. They never say, like, really? Is that really your carer? Why do you need a carer? You seem fine. They never say that because they don't. But it's a fear. It's a thing I worry about, but it just doesn't happen. It's fine. Hello. But it's actually really nice to have an appointment in person, since most of my appointments have been by telephone at the moment, which is obviously a really good thing. However, for certain things, like your jaw, it's very vital that you actually are able to see a doctor, because I don't think even over a video call someone would be able to correctly diagnose a facial problem, because the doctor needed me to she needed to like stick her fingers in my mouth and then get me to make various shapes and crunch down and I'm so grateful for the NHS frontline workers though who are still working. Oh my god. And also really grateful that my family who are working in the NHS are still safe. Especially my brother was working on a COVID ward all through the summer because he was just finishing up a respiratory ICU placement when COVID hit, and they were like, yeah, we need you to stay on. This is gonna be your rotation now. This is it. So yeah, the doctor just had a little feel of my face and then just whipped out a massive bottle of Botox, got some in a needle. I was expecting it to hurt actually, like quite a lot, because it looked like quite a lot of liquid that was going to be just shoved into my face. And normally if you have like a saline drip or something, it feels really cold. It barely hurt at all. It was just a kind of it wasn't a quick jab though, I must say. It was not quick. She had to hold that needle in for a little bit. But when she took it out, it felt a bit like I'd been punched by a baby. It's a very small area. I'd been punched by a very small fisted person in the face. And I think it's still a little swollen. I'm trying to be straight so you can see. It's trying to be straight. It's not gonna happen. If you can see here, so normally it's already kind of bigger, but it's also a bit swollen. But I have noticed, I don't know whether throughout this video you have noticed, and now watching back this video, I'm gonna be like, oh no, I was completely wrong throughout the video. It doesn't happen. But I think that the way I move my lips has changed. I think that where I was speaking a lot on the right side of my face, but even though it's been less than 24 hours, I feel like I can see quite a difference already. Because I feel already like this side of my face is trying to get a bit tougher. Like I had to eat my dinner last night on this side. And it's definitely doing a bit more work, which is good. We're gonna train it up. One thing the doctor did say though was, don't worry if after today's hospital visit you do feel like you've got COVID symptoms. Excuse me? She's like, oh yes, when you have Botox injections, it can feel like you've got a bad cold or a little bit of a flu. You might even develop a cough. I was like, and I have a really sore throat this morning, so at least I know not to worry. So yeah, there you go. There's a little update, some news about my face. So in the next 2 videos, you might perhaps be able to notice a change in my features. I don't know, you can comment on my Instagram at Jessica Out of the Closet and be like, Jessica, your face is changing. And I'd be like, cool, that's a photo I posted from 3 years ago, but thanks. But yeah, my face might start to change a bit. Hopefully it will become less painful. I will be able to actually use both sides of my jaw equally rather than just using this side and this side pulling itself away. And hopefully both sides will be firmly attached to my skull very soon. Watch this space, I guess.